Right now at noon, continued drought west leads to feeding problems for Kansas cattle ranchers.
And we were certainly hoping to see a little more sunshine. It is on the way, but it has been delayed. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And negotiations between lawmakers and the Biden administration continue over raising the nation's debt ceiling. We take a look at the proposed cuts and the looming deadline.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We may be getting rain, but the drought still stretches across the 4 states, affecting many, including cattle ranchers. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Buck. Topping our first 7 minutes. In western Kansas, pastures are not producing enough grazing land for livestock to eat. It's leaving ranchers with few options on how to feed their cattle. Austin Morton takes us to Hanston, Kansas, to see just how dire the situation is.
It depends on the good Lord up above.
Lonnie Ruff has farmed here for decades.
Well, I'm 66 years old. I've never seen it this dry.
He says this drought is causing long-term problems.
We run a large farm and about 30,000 head of feedlot cattle, and this will be the first year in our history that come August, when it's time to cut new crop, we won't have a 10,000 ton carryover silage. It's all going to be used.
Lonnie says the grass is green, it's just not grown enough, so he feeds his cattle out of these.
Brought tires out, feeding my cows silage. I'm out here every other day. They're probably getting 30, 40 pounds a day.
He says it costs, but not as much as losing his herd.
I will not sell my cattle. I cannot afford to sell my cattle. I'll feed them and keep them.
He wants change, but knows it won't come easy.
Several years to get in this situation. It's going to take several years to get out of this situation.
In the meantime, he says there's only one thing to do.
Just keep going and keep praying to the good Lord and hope that we start getting rain.
That was Austin Morton reporting. A recent USDA drought map shows Kansas has the lowest pasture conditions in modern history. Now, Lonnie says some of his neighbors have had to sell off half their herds because of the low grazing situation and the high cost of other means of feeding. Of course, here in the 4 states, we've seen a little rain recently, but that doesn't mean we're out of the drought picture just yet. Let's go to Chris.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So this is a broader view of the drought map across the area, and you can see the places we were just talking about out in Kansas still in exceptional drought for much of the state, and that exceptional drought does still extend into our area in parts of southeast Kansas. We had seen improvements through the winter months, and we've started to see the opposite take place over the last couple of months as the drought conditions are continuing to worsen now across areas where they had just improved, but we are getting some much needed rain. It's just we're not getting enough yet. Last year's summer had us so dry and so far behind, it's going to take a lot of rain to catch us back up. Here we are looking at 7th and Range Line in Joplin, and those are clouds, and lots of them. Same at 20th and Range Line, looking off to the north, clouds, lots of them. KDOT camera at 69 and 400, you guessed it, more clouds out there. The clouds right here. We don't have any cameras north of this point, but if we did, they would be showing the sunshine that everybody else is getting unless you're right along this line. But these clouds will eventually make their way out of here, and we'll start to get a little more sunshine this afternoon. Yesterday, as mentioned, temperatures didn't move much, started at 60, made it up to a whopping 64. Doing better despite the clouds, and up where it's warm, where the sun's been out, we got 73 Nevada, Fort Scott, 75 in Chanute, 71 Oswego, 70 Joplin, Pittsburgh, and 68 in Neosho. We're going to continue to see the clouds clear out eventually. We'll get some sunshine between today and tomorrow, and there's more rain on the horizon. We'll take a look at all of that here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. There's been a dramatic shift in the laws on abortion affecting millions of women. In North Carolina, abortion rights supporters protested last night's vote by Republican lawmakers to override the governor's veto and establish a 12-week limit on abortions. In Montana, where the state constitution protects abortion rights, the governor signed a bill yesterday to outlaw the most common method of abortion after 15 weeks. Montana and North Carolina join other Republican-controlled states in reducing abortion access. The White House and congressional leaders have appointed senior leaders to head up debt ceiling negotiations on their behalf. The Treasury Department says the government will run out of money to pay its bills by June 1st. adding a sense of urgency to the talks. Skylar Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
President Biden is leaving for Japan, even as negotiations over the debt ceiling continue.
I've cut my trip short in order to be for the final negotiations and sign the deal with the majority leader.
The president appointed 3 aides to lead the negotiations, including Shalanda Young, the head of his budget office. Young's appointment shows the White House isn't solely focused on raising the debt ceiling, but is also serious about working with House Republicans over budget cuts.
So the structure of how we negotiate has improved. So it now gives you a better opportunity, even though we only have a few days to get it done.
The Biden administration says it's willing to compromise on changes to domestic energy projects and clawing back about $30 billion in unspent COVID relief money. Republicans want to add stricter work requirements for Medicaid and food stamp recipients.
That is a non-starter for many of us in the Democratic caucus. We have to stick to our values.
Congressional leaders say they also discussed raising the debt limit for several more years in order to avoid last-minute crises like this. House Republicans say they're open to that, but not without even more budget cuts.
Anytime somebody wants to raise the debt ceiling more, show me where we want to save more.
Meanwhile, House Democrats are filing a petition to force a vote on a clean debt ceiling with no strings attached. But the petition can't pass without some Republicans signing off. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
On the Senate side, the Democratic and Republican chairs of the Senate Appropriations Committee announced they will begin hearings in June to work on a new budget. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, Oklahoma teachers raise concern after the state finally passes an education bill. And later, we're making icebox strawberry shortcake bars in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. State leaders agree to an education package after months of debate. It includes pay raises for teachers. But as Ashlyn Brothers reports, teachers' unions have concerns about the plan.
The biggest point of contention to come from the state's new education package is the separate measure authoring tax credits up to $7,500 to go to families with children in private school.
Like 5% of the kids who don't attend public schools in Oklahoma, because 95% do, and I know that means 5% until we get to 100. I learned that in school, public school.
The president of the Tulsa Classroom Teachers Association says that money could go towards giving education support professionals a raise.
What did they get? Nothing. They got nothing. Again, I'm a drama teacher. Your teachers are the cast. There's no play without actors. You know what? There ain't no show without the crew either.
The plan adds $625 million into public education, including a $3,000 to $6,000 raise for every teacher in the state and 6 weeks paid maternity leave, which Mott Wright says is a good step. It also includes a one-time $150 million investment in school security and a one-time $10 million investment for a reading program.
I am interested to see how it will be spread out over the districts throughout the state.
Every school district gets a certain amount of dollars per child, but kids with a special need require more money, and those are called weights.
Those haven't increased in forever and should be with this, and that is a much needed increase.
The TPS School Board VP believes the package is a good start.
I am excited to see how it looks in the end, but I do think it's very important that when the legislature does make a very large investment in public education, that we should acknowledge that and thank them for it.
Broken Arrow Superintendent Chuck Perry says he's hopeful the raises bring in new teachers. He also says the funding will help with hiring additional security guards. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Today, I'm taking a trip down memory lane with a dessert that my neighbor made for me when I was a kid. It's an oldie but goodie.
But first, we are keeping an eye on the warmer temperatures that are on their way, plus some rain chances moving in by Friday. We'll look at that forecast, plus this upcoming weekend when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So I know this morning I talked about, seeing some sunshine, and some of us are. Not everybody is yet, but don't worry, you're not going to be left out. More sunshine is on the way. Believe me, there's plentiful sunshine if we can just get rid of the clouds. And they should continue to slowly move off to the south and eventually give all of us sunlight, because points roughly north of here, about 400, they're getting sunshine. If you are south of 400, roughly, no sunshine yet. But that's okay. We're going to get some, don't worry. Here's what we were talking about earlier this morning, too, is the possibility of a stray shower or two out there. And it's kind of hiding behind the temperature icon for Anderson, but there's a possible stray shower there this evening. And that's really about it. Maybe one or two other ones, and that's going to be about it. So I was talking these are going to be very isolated and very short-lived at that. So let's head into tomorrow morning. We're starting out roughly the same place we did this morning, a pinch warmer, a few clouds out there, not much. We're going to have a pretty decent day. We're going to warm up. We'll have a little more sunshine, and then clouds will start to increase as we head into the evening. And ahead of our next storm system, we could get a few little pop-up showers and thunderstorms starting, again, about 6 o'clock. Here we are at 8. Again, these are very isolated out there, but they are out there by 10, even more isolated, but still a few showers hanging on. And then that wraps it up until we get to about sunrise Friday, when we see this nice batch of welcome showers and thunderstorms, because we showed you the drought map earlier. You know how badly the entire state of Kansas needs the rain, but here in our area, this portion of southeast Kansas, exceptionally dry, and this is some more much-needed shower and thunderstorm activity on the way. And the good news is, at this point, this activity is not looking to be strong or severe. I know we've got some really good rain, but unfortunately, we've had to deal with some severe weather with that. Taking a look at our camera at 7th and Range Line, well, we got the clouds and daylight wants to come through. It's just not doing it yet. Same view from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line looking back to the north, and from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. About 11:30 or so, there was sunshine here, and then it went away as soon as we started talking about it. So we'll just not talk about the sun for a minute, and maybe it'll come back. Got cloudy skies in Joplin, 70 right now, north breeze at 6 miles an hour. So we are doing better temperature-wise than yesterday. And we're sitting at 70 in Pittsburgh under cloudy skies, calm breeze there as well. And of course, thankfully, at least one thing, the fog is all gone from this morning. Up north, where you've been seeing more sunshine, it's a bit warmer. We've got 75 in Chanute, 73 Fort Scott, Nevada, 74 in Stockton, and we're sitting at 70 in Miami. And then look, where we've been just socked in with the clouds, and even thicker clouds down to the south, 68 in Neosho, 66 Cassville, Anderson, 64 in Bentonville, so not much better than yesterday, but like I said, the sunshine is coming. Still expecting those partly cloudy skies by the afternoon, and eventually all of us getting into mostly clear skies, and for most of us, that should still at least allow our highs to reach the mid-70s, but some of us to the south may peak in the lower 70s. Mostly clear skies as we head into this evening, and another chilly one for us as we drop back into the upper 50s once again. We head into tomorrow. These little sunshine icons, these should have smiley faces on them, because we are going to see plentiful sunshine tomorrow until we get to the evening and we start to see a few more clouds. But temperatures tomorrow pushing up near 80 degrees. So let's take a look at not any of those things, but the extended forecast. Tomorrow, again, near 80, if not at. Got those evening showers, scattered thunderstorms throughout the entire day on Friday, and that keeps us a little cooler, 70 on Saturday, but more sunshine on Sunday, so a beautiful weekend shaping up for us. Temperatures next week start to warm back up. We're heading low to mid-80s, but we also have increasing thunderstorm chances as we head into next week. So Mother Nature timing this out just right. We've got an absolutely perfect weekend ahead of a work week full of showers and thunderstorms.
All right, well, a lot of chances of rain. We need those to help with the drought. Just a little bit here and there is what we need.
Exactly, because we had those flooding concerns the other day around the Carthage area. We don't want too much all at once. We need it spread out, and this is another opportunity to do that.
I'm digging that. Nice weekend, though. That's
a
good way to describe
weekend.
Saturday. 70 degrees. Perfect. We'll take it. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making icebox strawberry shortcake bars after the break. Or if you're looking for a dessert that screams nostalgia, check this one out. Howard shows us how to make icebox strawberry shortcake bars in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Today I want to share a recipe that my neighbor, Mrs. D, used to make every summer when I was growing up. It wasn't fancy. As a matter of fact, it was pretty simple, which is what made it so good. It's been years since I last had it, and Mrs. D is no longer with us. So here's my rendition of it based on lots of good memories. To make the crust, we combine some finely crushed sugar cookies with melted butter. This gets pressed into a 9x13 pan and gets baked off. Next, we beat together some heavy cream with granulated sugar until it forms stiff peaks. Now to that, we add some cream cheese and whip it up until it's nice and fluffy. At this point, grab a rubber spatula and fold in lots of sliced fresh strawberries. All of this goodness now goes on top of our cooled crust, and into the fridge it goes to firm up. I can still remember how she topped each piece with extra berries. To get the cool and refreshing recipe for Mrs. D's Icebox Strawberry Shortcake Bars, all you have to do is stop by our website. I bet this would be perfect for any Memorial Day get-together. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a very easy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Mrs. D was a good baker.
I bet she was. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
All right, still looking to make it up to about the mid-70s. Could have a random shower or two out there and a couple of evening showers tomorrow. Better storm chances Friday and a little cooler. Very nice weekend ahead of us, and then we'll be into the mid-70s, lower 80s as we kick off the next work week with some additional rain chances. So this weekend, if you haven't mowed the yard or done whatever you need to do, get out there and do it before it rains again.
No more excuses is what he's saying.
You can use Saturday as your drying day and Sunday as your mowing day. Perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah,
great.
We'll take it. I guess we're mowing on Sunday.
I guess we are.
What do we have coming up tonight?
Well, on at 5. For starters, a new study gives women new hope, who've suffered the heartbreak of a miscarriage. Researchers say a blood test could reveal what went wrong. We're going to have more on that in Health Watch. Plus, HUD selects the City of Pittsburgh Public Housing Authority as one of 62 agencies to receive housing vouchers for people facing homelessness. And the Frank Fletcher Subaru of Love event raises $20,000 for a Joplin charity. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.